Hey there, everybody. It's Peter once again, and it's time for another Pinball Alley Extra. We're just a few hours away from the second of my 6 articles for OneMoreCastle.com. And this article is going to be all about Rollerball for the NES, which came out in 1988 by HAL. And of course, 1988, if you do the math, that makes the game 25 years old this year. So and I didn't plan it that way, it just kind of worked out like that. Um, so let's talk a little bit about the game. Not that you wouldn't be able to read about it, as the article that I wrote is about 2,500 words or so. But there are some basic pinball concepts that you want to be able to employ when you play rollerball. And the first thing is that there isn't one set strategy for the entire table. The game or the table is actually divided into 4 different play fields, and each of the play fields has its own set of strategies and objectives that you want to go after. So if you try and pursue it or try and attack rollerball as one giant table, it's not only going to get confusing, but you're probably not going to be very successful. What you're going to want to do, and again, you'll read this in the article when it goes live, but you want to attack each of the play fields as its own separate pinball table. For example, the very top play field, the fourth floor, the roof level or the penthouse level, is where a lot of the action takes place, where a lot of the bonuses can be achieved. For example, you can get an extra ball when you're up there. You can start multi-ball play when you're up there, and you can also increase the bonus multiplier up to 5 times while you're up there just by carrying out the same task over and over again. That, of course, being able to light all of the sky high lamps in the order that the game sets, and then locking the ball in the top capture hole, then popping all of the bumpers, and then relocking the ball. If you do that, I know it sounds repetitive, but it's actually really challenging to do so. But if you do that enough times, the first time you get the extra ball unlocked, or the extra ball feature unlocked, where you get an extra ball to work with, plus that also unlocks the multi-ball mode if you can get the ball locked in the right-hand out lane up there. But then subsequently, each time that you do that after, that's when you start bumping up the bonus multiplier: 2x, 3x, 4x, and then 5x. And depending on how long you can keep the ball in play, how many targets you can hit, how much of the outhold bonus you can collect, that 5x can be pretty substantial. So that's the top play field, the roof level. And that's really where you want to try and keep the ball. One thing here, as it usually is with most pinball tables, but you want to try and keep the ball up, as far up as you can. Not only are there more bonus points and more bonuses up there in this case, but it's also now 3 levels above where you can lose the ball for good. So the higher you keep it, the less danger you have of losing the ball and ending your turn. And I talked a little bit about this. I'm just pulling up a screen so I can reference it now. Um, the third floor, or the screen where you initially start when you plunge the ball, you're going to start taking into account shot timing. In order to get the ball back to the top level, there's actually a flipper shot that you're going to learn, and it's on the left hand flipper, not so much the right, where the ball comes to rest just after the hinge of that left flipper. You're going to learn to make a shot that pretty much takes the ball almost straight north, goes a little northeast, and it'll actually take you right up in or back into the top table, and that is the only way to really get back up there consistently. There is another shot on the third floor that has a capture hole in the upper left-hand corner, but that's not too easy to hit as consistently. So you want to try and stick to that flipper shot if you can learn the timing. And then moving back down, let me just see if I can get back there for you. And of course I can't. There it is. The second floor, of course, where the Statue of Liberty is. This is probably my least liked of the 4 different play fields, and a lot of that is because there's not a lot of organization. There's not really a lot to shoot for, even though there are plenty of drop targets to go after. It's not really worth the effort to go after those drop targets, although you can increase the bonus as you go. The biggest bonus I got was 10,000 points, but in the grand scheme of things, when you're trying to score 3-4 million points, 10,000 really isn't worth that much effort. And there's also, and I don't recall whether I mentioned this in the article, but there's also right next to the Statue of Liberty on the left-hand side of that second floor table, there's also a nice big HAL bumper that tends to wreak havoc with ball direction if you tend to hit it there. So be very careful when you're on the second floor. And then, of course, going back to the first floor, that's the danger zone. If you drain the ball here, your turn ends. You collect the out hole bonus, and you have to start all over again. And that includes any progress that you've made on the top floor in terms of trying to get the bumpers popped, trying to unlock extra ball or multi-ball or any other bonuses up there. Once you lose the ball from the ground floor at the very bottom, you have to start everything all over again. So you have to play uh, the bottom floor very, very carefully. And the thing about the bottom floor to be most interested in, I should say, is the orbit shot in the upper left-hand corner. That orbit shot, when you hit the spinner, you can get a variety of different really neat options, and some of them pretty beneficial, including a 1 million point bonus if you happen to get really lucky. That's a pretty easy shot to make. It's a cross-table shot to make using your right-hand flipper going from right to left. You'll learn that shot pretty easy. Uh, and that's really where you're going to focus a lot of your attention. And the other shot that you're going to want to learn is the flipper on the left, making a left to right shot, trying to go back to the second floor using the not so much the out lane, but the path following the direction of the out hole bonus numbers back to the second floor. So there are a variety of different strategies for each playfield level that you need to learn. And then the other thing you need to learn, and we've talked about this in the original NES pinball that I covered last time, is you need to learn where the ball is going to go based on where the ball rests on your flipper. And on this table, in rollerball more so than in pinball, the flippers are a little bit longer, and so the ball reacts a little bit differently depending on when you decide to flip. So you're going to need to play the table a few times in order to really understand and lock down that timing. But once you do, that shot timing becomes your friend. You don't feel necessarily pressured or stressed out when you're trying to hit certain shots. It just comes very natural. So overall, and I didn't talk a lot in terms of review of the table, but Rollerball isn't my favorite of the 6 NES pinball games, but it's definitely the most ambitious. Yes, we can argue that Pinball Quest is ambitious because of the RPG mode, but in terms of basic pinball design, Rollerball is definitely up there in terms of creativity and in terms of being ambitious. 4 different play fields, if you put those one after the other, after the other, after the other, would make for an exceptionally long pinball machine if you actually made it a real thing. Although I suppose you could eliminate one of the play fields by putting it on the top glass, maybe as a dot matrix mode, but this is the best way. Rollerball really stands on its own as a pinball video game, not a pinball machine or a pinball table turned into video game form. And I find that pretty fascinating. The scores are pretty fair. Again, my best effort was just over 4 million points, which wasn't bad. And that was after an afternoon of play. I just happened to be in the zone for one particular ball, and it just kind of caught fire. And that's what happens when you play pinball and you find yourself in that zone. It's really difficult to get out of it. Of course, once you're out of that zone, getting it back is a whole other story. But so that's my basic overview of Rollerball. I really did enjoy it. Again, it's not my favorite of the NES pinball games. You'll find out what that is in episode 7, which will be the final, where I break down all of the tables that I've reviewed and rank them from 6 all the way to 1. So I hope you enjoy the piece. Again, onemorecastle.com. That's the number 1morecastle.com. It'll be up a little bit later on this afternoon, March 26th. Until the next time, make sure you keep that ball on the table and avoid those tilt warnings. We'll talk soon.